started changing the sheets, I have to have a couple things. I have to have some clean sheets prepared, and I also need a laundry basket. This is where we're gonna put the dirty sheets. They're not really that dirty, but you know what? It's a good idea to change your sheets every now and then, and it's something that I put off. I should do it probably every other week. That's the goal, but I put it off, except for today. In today's lesson, I am not putting it off anymore. This is for you. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to strip the bed. You could say simply take off the old sheets, but we often use this word strip. I'm going to strip or strip off this quilt. I'm going to strip off this comforter. It's actually a duvet comforter. You can put a duvet cover over top of it, but I just call it a comforter. And I'm going to take off this sheet. I will explain all about these sheets in just a minute. Now this I'm going to wash, so I will put it in my laundry basket. I'm going to also take these pillows, and you might ask, why do you have so many pillows? Why are there 4 pillows? Well, why would I live in a world where I just need 1 pillow when I can have 2 pillows, right? So these are not decorative pillows. Some people have decorative pillows on their bed. I'm not that kind of person, but I like to have 1 pillow under my head, and sometimes I hug a pillow. Sometimes I have that pillow for back support. We call that lumbar support sometimes when I'm sleeping. And I'm going to throw the pillowcases in the laundry basket. Let me know, are you someone who sleeps with more than 1 pillow? I definitely am. And I feel grateful that I live in a world where I can sleep comfortably, right? So let's take all these off. As you can see, I am not a stickler for matching sheets or matching pillowcases. So these are a matching set. You can see, I think you can see a little bit that these are matching. They have little polka dots on them. But really, whenever I do the sheets, I just grab whatever sheets are clean, whatever pillowcases are clean, and that's what I put on the bed. Some people are pickier than me, but I am not. All right, so next we need to take off the fitted sheet. So this sheet has elastic, and I'm going to take off this fitted sheet. I need to go all the way around the bed and not trip over things. So I will take off this fitted sheet. This is the one that is annoying to put on. Some fitted sheets don't actually fit a bed very well, but this one seems to fit okay. So I'm going to take off this fitted sheet, and the next thing is I need to find the new clean fitted sheet somewhere in here. Note that the pronunciation of this, fitted, those T's are going to sound like D's in American English because they're surrounded by vowels. Fitted, not fitted. Fitted. That's one of the tricks that makes spoken English sound so fast, because we change one letter for another, one word kind of blends into the next word because of all those little tips and tricks. All right, this is my clean fitted sheet. I have 2 pairs of fitted sheets for this bed, which means one of them can be dirty and the other can be clean, and I don't need to do the laundry in order to have a clean set of sheets. So that's generally the term that we would use. This is a set of sheets, the matching set. This is not a matching set. I don't care. But I'm going to put this on my bed, and you're going to see there's an inside and an outside. And I have to figure out which side is the long side and which side is the short side. I think that's a problem everybody has when they make the bed with this type of with these types of sheets. All right, I'm going to tuck it in around here. And, oh, I did it wrong. I have the long side here. So what I'm going to do is pull that off and find this corner. So this is the corner of the sheet. I'm going to try to tuck it under the mattress. And back here as well, I'm going to tuck this corner around the mattress. And usually, the truth is, when I make the bed, I have at least one child very excited that there is a big flat jumping surface available. And somebody is jumping on the bed while I'm doing this. But I sent everybody outside while I was making this video for you. All right, so I'll get this one tucked in. And you might see we have this lovely patch. I sewed on this patch because I love these sheets. They're so comfortable. I think they're like linen sheets. They're really nice. They're a little wrinkly, but it's okay. But they got a rip in them. Sometimes natural fibers just aren't as durable as like polyester or more like man-made materials. So these linen sheets, they're just not very durable. But I didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to try to fix them myself. So I had a piece of extra fabric. You can see from these sheets, there was like an extra little square, a little like bag that these sheets came in, and I had saved that. And I cut that little bag. It was not a bag to use to carry stuff. It was just to stuff the sheets in when you buy it. And I sewed it onto the hole, and now there's a nice little patch there, and we can use these sheets again. Hooray! All right, now that we have the fitted sheet on, let's get the flat sheet. That's what this guy is called. And there is a top and a bottom. You can see there is a thicker seam here to here. This is the seam. This is a thin seam right here, but this thick seam is going to go at the top, ideally. So I'm going to just toss this across the bed and make sure that it's relatively even. We don't want to let Dan have all the sheets, right? I gotta have some sheets too on my side. All right, that is good enough for me. Usually I'll tuck the corners in so that they don't get messed up too much. My kids love to hide under my sheets and they play in the blankets, which means that oftentimes all of my sheets and blankets end up on the floor. Maybe it's just foolhardy to think that if I tuck the corner of my sheet in, they'll stay in place. Yeah, I'm probably fooling myself. But that's the way it goes. All right, next I'm going to add this duvet cover. Because there's a tag, I try to keep that at the bottom of the bed so that it's not in our faces. And this one, pull up like this. And this quilt, I'm going to just throw on. Now this quilt is not a special homemade quilt. We do have a quilt that Dan's great-grandmother sewed, and we often use that on our bed. I did not bring it out for this video, but that's a very special quilt. You can tell it's a quilt, not just a blanket, because it has these little squares, and this is just from a company. Nothing very personal, but it still has the squares of fabric that have been sewn together. And in older times, people would save patches of their fabric, of their clothing, after their clothing got old, and they would make blankets out of it because you had to reuse things more. I try to be thrifty as well, but I don't think I could ever make a quilt unless I really needed to, unless it was a necessity. All right, here we go. And next we have our assorted pillowcases, and I'm going to put a couple on. It's interesting, some pillowcases, I don't know if it's the same in your country, some pillowcases have this little flap here to keep the pillow in, and some pillowcases are just a little opening and you have to shove the pillowcase or the pillow in. This one has a little flap, but it maybe keeps the pillow in better, I'm not sure. All right, let's see if I can shove it in a little bit better. And I know this is Dan's pillow, so that's gonna go up there. This pillow is mine, and I'm gonna put the pillowcase on this as well. There is a tag on the pillow, so technically maybe some people would put that at the very end, but I don't care. Like I said, this is my least favorite chore. You see how cool this is? There's like a little flap, and then you can pull up that piece so that it stays nice and tucked in there. Great. All right, now here's the choice. I can give my second pillow the same color as my first pillow. Let's do it. Let's just be sensible, won't we? I think this pillowcase is actually from another set. It doesn't belong with the linen blue sheets, but it's still blue. So that's all right. That's what matters to me. Now, what's worse than doing the sheets on my bed is doing the sheets on my kids' bed. Ugh, that's the worst. They have a bunk bed, and they like to sleep with a lot of stuffed animals. So I have them take off all of the stuffed animals from their bed, and I ask them to take the sheets off their bed, to strip their beds. But it's kind of hard for them at this age, young age, to put their own sheets back on the bed, especially that fitted sheet. So I'd have to do that. I don't know, it's just a chore I don't like. It's not a big deal, but you know, there's always chores that we don't like, even though they're not a big deal. And then, ta-da, whenever you do them and they're finished, it feels good. I feel good right now. Have you ever had that happen where you have a chore or a phone call you have to make and you're just dreading it? And then you do it and it wasn't actually that bad in the first place? This is the same for me all the time. Well, thank you for joining me for this very intimate daily life chore, something that I don't enjoy, but I enjoy telling you about. So I hope that you can go out into the real world, express yourself better, and just feel confident when you speak. That is the whole goal, no matter what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about making the bed, maybe you're talking about something else. I want you to feel